I wanted to make a like a little flow chart thing because you know how people are like, you know, it's always been said, but they're like, I'd rather spend the money, and get something more higher quality, right? Don't want to buy the cheap Chinese junk stuff, right? Is what people always say.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to make this little chart where it's like you as the consumer, and so you're saying no, like have the cheap Chinese stuff here, and then go straight to you. So you say, no, I'd rather spend a little bit more and get something more quality. So then have that same item go to like a retailer, and then that retailer rebrands it as something else and sells it to your local place and then just sells it to you for more money. But it's the
Well,
exact same
yeah,
thing.
every time it changes hands, it's going to go up.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you buy it directly, it'd be like $1 sign. And then just have it when they sell it to the rebranding person, it's $1 sign. And then when they sell it to the next person, it's $2 signs. And then when they sell it back to you, it's $3 signs. Because that's all you did is paid more money for the same exact freaking item. Well, hang on, let me shut the door. Of course, as soon as I hit record, my dogs are going ape shit.
Really?
Yeah. Can't hear them. They're out there cricket barking.
No, I don't hear anything.
When Grizzly plays with True, he sounds like a grizzly bear. Oh my God, dude. He sounds like he's trying to kill her every time. That's how loud he starts growling and stuff, even though he's just playing.
But he just sounds like he's pissed.
Yeah, he does. And honestly, there's been a couple times where I had to break him up because he gets a little too rough and a little too obnoxious. He also eats like a grizzly bear. Like I've told you guys, he
I think
can't.
that's just a golden thing, though.
It has to be, man. And I did not know that going into getting a golden. And Caitlin had mentioned it to me that they can be a problem with food. And I was like, there's no way. All dogs like food. No, this dog, that's his life. Food is his life.
Like literally all he thinks about is food.
I really think it is that's all he thinks about. It's crazy.
Right now, my girlfriend and I are actually house sitting for like a golden, but he's like cream colored. He's like the softest dog I've ever touched in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing that's great about them is how soft their coats are. It's incredible. See, I think ours is going to grow up to be kind of a lighter color, but like his sister, she has like a red coat still, and it looks really cool.
Really? So she's like a strawberry?
Yeah, and it looks really cool. And her hair is much more wavy than his. His is very straight, and hers is very all the way down her back. It's like swirly all the way down her back. It's really cool. But so what do you think, man? Freaking 2023, huh? How you think this one's gonna shape up?
I don't know. Maybe this is the year the robots finally take over.
Oh my God. I don't know.
Oh, dude. Have you ever played with Chat GPT? I think is what it's called.
No, I just read something that said that's supposed to be replacing Google potentially soon.
Oh, easily, dude. Oh my
God,
it's insane. Yes. So you could ask it anything. Like I wish I had the examples, but I was just messing with it. And I was like, tell me a story about two brothers playing the Dark Souls board game. And it like went through and you can see it writing it in real time. And it like wrote like a long story talking about like the rules that were in the board game, the specific monsters that were fought, like the equipment that they found. It kind of blew my mind. It took like maybe 45 seconds to write it out.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I played with it for a long time. I was just like asking it about different stuff.
Oh, great.
It's really cool. Like it's scary, but it's also like fascinating to me that they can get it to be like a real person would talk to you.
See, I don't know how I feel about a lot of this stuff here. I'm gonna put a link in the chat and Zoom, and you might have seen this on Reddit, but I guess these are all AI created images.
Oh,
which these ones are super cool. But I also know that this is becoming
badass.
Yeah. But I also know that this is becoming a problem in the art communities because there's this huge disconnect now, right? So people on r/art of Reddit are getting pissed because people will they will say that, oh, your art is AI generated. And they're like, no, it's not. I made this. They're like, well, it looks too AI generated, so you need to do something different. It's like, what the fuck? Seriously? That's where we're at now? It looks too much like a robot made it, so you need to change your human art style.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I have no feelings about this because I think it's cool on the one hand, and on the other hand, like I guess I feel bad for like these digital artists. But I don't know. I guess computers are going to handle everything in the future.
The thing
Like
that's the thing that's
creativity, even, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
I think the thing that bothers me the most, and I'm not an artist, obviously, so I can't necessarily speak for how somebody would feel, but it's crazy that people might take an artist's original picture and just whatever, screen cap it, whatever they want to do, throw it in this AI generator, and it changes it up in a few ways. And then those people turn it around and say, this is mine. This is my original art that I made. And there's people branding themselves as AI, like AI artists. It's like, that's not a fucking thing. Like,
well,
you didn't do anything.
Willing to pay for it. Oh, fuck it, I'll be an AI artist.
I mean, I just don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about all of it. I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about it either, but I don't know. I'm not like offended by it, I guess. It's kind of cool to me. That like somebody like me or you can now create like art on the same level as somebody who's been doing it their whole life. It's kind of interesting, right?
You mean somebody who's artistically inept?
Yeah. Well, that's not true. You are like a really good drawer back in the day.
I used to dabble. I wouldn't say I was really good.
I mean, I disagree, but so I don't know. It's just interesting to me, I guess, that like the playing field is really even now.
I guess you're right. I don't feel strongly either way about it, but I could also see how some of these people are upset by it.
I see where they're coming from.
Realistically, it's not very fair either. So say somebody's making like a children's book and they need somebody who will commission art for the whole thing. And they're like, okay, well, I'm going to charge whatever, $10,000 or what. I don't know how much. It can't be that much, obviously, but they're going to charge a bunch of money for the art of this book. And now the publishing company's like, well, that's way too much. So we'll just get this AI artist to do it. I don't know. I mean, that's the same problem, I guess, with anything.
As like back in the day when like a crew of workers would work a field, but now the farmer gets a tractor.
Yes.
And he could do it himself.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Thing? Yep. Yeah. So instead of now paying 20 workers, you only have to pay one.
He just has to pay one fucking guy to drive the thing.
Yeah. Then it runs into the same problem as we talked about before. You know, you would think now that there's less people having to do the work, we would pay less for the stuff. But for some reason, the price and everything just keeps fucking going up every day.
I know you haven't seen Glass Onion yet, but they get into a lot of like just how pretentious rich people can be.
Oh, really?
And how like realistically, like the art is meaningless itself. But just because you attach value to it makes it valuable.
Right. Huh.
I don't know. Art's always been a weird proposition for me, especially like modern art, because I like fully don't get it.
Well,
like
it's weird.
Abstract stuff. Or like the stuff, especially to me, the stuff that I guess from the outside looking in looks very low effort, but is like praised. Is always been odd to me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like how there for a while, like there's some literal like splatter art paintings that are they sell for like millions of dollars. It's like seriously, my 4-year-old could have done this. He actually did that on the wall, and I got mad at him because he splattered shit all over the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Like I don't know. Art's a weird one, and then I feel like you never really can attach like a true value to it because it's not
Right.
like you're really coming up with like a commodity that people have to have.
right. I it's yeah, I feel like it's a very fine line. Because I mean, I can't like talk shit on it too much because you know I'm like my wife works in a art studio part-time and stuff.
Oh shit. Does she listen to the podcast?
Probably not enough to hear this.
Okay.
It's fine. Her and I have this conversation though, because she'll show me stuff. She's like, oh, I really like these mugs that this artist makes or whatever, like a coffee mug. And I'm like, why does that coffee mug cost $200?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. And that's probably a cheap one. And she's like, well, it's art. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. But
Smart, you wouldn't get it, you fucking troglodyte.
Exactly. Yeah. I must be way behind in the understanding department because I'm like, these plain white coffee mugs we have up here do the same function and they cost $3 a piece. So yes, I understand somebody took the time to custom fully make that with their hands versus a machine making the ones that I use.
I think you would probably agree with this statement that I personally am a person that cares about an object's function a lot more than the form it takes.
Yes, absolutely.
So I want it to function well first. It doesn't have to look beautiful.
I agree with that. And that's where I have a problem with a lot of this. Yeah, like art stuff. Yeah, I appreciate things that look nice and that are cool and interesting and stuff. But then when you're like, oh, it's $700. Like, really? For a plate? The $700, huh? You think that's a fair price for that?
What does it make food impossible to go bad? That's on it or something like
exactly. And I can't even put it in the fucking microwave. Are you serious?
Oh yeah. See, like what the fuck? That's standard plate today.
Right.
It can't go in the microwave. It's garbage.
Yeah, and so I'm like, you're literally taking away useful parts of this because of the quote unquote artistic value of it. Like I'm getting really confused. Yeah,
I don't know. So I guess what I'm trying to say about AI art is I don't know.
Is it
a little long roundabout ways of saying I don't know. I shrug my shoulders.
Is it any indication of where 2023 is going to take us? We've had a couple of years in the dumpster lately. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. Some seriously
I feel like at least 2 in a row.
Yeah, some not very fun years to be a human being. So, or at least not a lower middle class human being. For rich people, it's perfect.
Lit.
Yeah, for rich people, it's been perfect because they just keep getting more of the money and we keep getting less of it somehow.
I saw a post on Reddit that was talking about that medical experts think they might have like found a thing that will make people immortal. Obviously, it's exorbitantly expensive treatment, but people are getting worried now that billionaires will live forever and continuously accrue wealth like a fucking dragon.
Just continue this cycle that we're stuck in.
So that wealth will never trickle down at any way, shape, or form because they'll just keep it all.
Ugh. Yeah, and this system that we are built into, this everything based around a monetary system, until I can't even envision what it would look like. That's how ingrained in us it is. But until we can get past this or around this, nothing's going to change.
I will say, I think one good thing that'll come out of 2023 is I think Facebook will burn to the ground this year. I bet that'll happen.
Yeah, that'll probably go away.
Or excuse me, Meta. Excuse me.
Yeah. Twitter's probably on its way out, huh? Still?
Yeah, I kind of think Elon Musk is kind of done. Like, feel like he's pooped his pants enough in front of everybody.
I'm glad, dude. I'm glad though that he proved to the whole world that just because you have a lot of money doesn't make you smart. No. He proved it to the whole, in front of God and everyone. He proved it, and I couldn't be more thankful for that.
Yeah, who do you think is next? Maybe Jeff Bezos? Bezos?
To show their hand, like
Yeah,
that they're not as
to
smart as
totally poop him in front of everybody.
yeah. Because so Musk basically did what's his face who owns Meta. Does he still does what's his
Zuckerberg?
nuts Zuckerberg? Yeah, that robot. Does he still own
No,
that?
he's a lizard, but I'm
Oh,
not
oh
sure.
yeah. I see. I can't remember now if he stepped down. I know he stepped down as CEO and stuff. But I don't know if he still
I don't know.
owns
I
it.
don't really pay attention to it. I just see like, like the articles that'll come up on Reddit about like how much money they've been hemorrhaging and like how
Ugh.
Meta doesn't even have like 1,000 active users.
Yeah, that's so bizarre, man.
And people like this time last year were paying millions of dollars for real estate in that shit.
Thinking it was gonna take off, and then they could like,
and like now nobody fucking wants it.
I feel like there's just a lot of not very smart people with money out there.
I think it's kind of coming to a head. I think a lot of the time that like I'm sure you innovated in one area, but that doesn't mean like you know what everybody wants.
Well, even these people, then, like you're saying, we're paying all this money into it's like the whole NFT thing. Like people
Which I'm
lost.
so happy that shit's going away. Fucking thank you, Logan Paul, for shitting the bed on that one.
Yeah, me too. I'm so glad that freaking came and went like a freaking match. I'm so happy that didn't stick around because that was just a dumpster fire. I mean, and it was a snapshot of essentially what crypto did just over a much longer period of time.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. There was these people paying millions of dollars for these things. And it's like, it's just furthering my point that just because you have a lot of money doesn't make you a very smart person. Like, yeah, you might have figured out how to play the game in a few ways that made you all that money. And you clearly had to have stepped on and or stabbed a lot of people in the back. But it doesn't necessarily make you a smart person.
Well, it's funny you mentioned crypto. Have we talked about the FTX stuff on here?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we ever have.
Well, the most interesting part to me about this is like all these financial YouTubers who kind of backed fucking FTX. Basically, all their following is gone because their followers think they're full of shit because FTX was a scam.
Yeah,
straight up scam.
Yeah, they were also getting sponsored by FTX, like pushing it hard.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad because fuck all those guys and fuck that clown. That dude might be dead by now, actually.
Really?
Because he was in, you know how he got arrested like in the Bahamas?
No, I wasn't paying that much attention.
Okay, so my limited understanding of this, so obviously anybody listening to this,
good story.
Take this with a spoon of salt. So basically, right, like the company went fully fucking bankrupt because these guys were essentially writing checks that their ass couldn't cash. They were essentially selling
lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, dude, they were selling people crypto that they didn't even have. They didn't even have crypto to be selling or moving.
And correct me if I'm wrong, he was taking the money he was making from FTX and instead of like putting that into the crypto so it's worth something, he was spending it directly into another company and straight up embezzling it.
Another company, yeah, that was ran by like his mom.
Yeah, and it was like floundering and about to go under. And so he was like funneling all the FTX money into that. So FTX actually didn't have anything.
Right. And like I said, they were basically this is a little side tangent here, but somebody else was pissed off once this all came about because they were like, look how jacked up this is. This dude sold millions and millions. They moved millions of dollars worth of crypto, like Bitcoin we'll use as an example, that had no effect on the overall market because they weren't real transactions going on to the real market. So it had so many ripple effects. Anyways, supposedly this dude was like in the Bahamas, right? And a lot of these, right before the company went basically bankrupt from billions of dollars somehow to bankrupt, they made a bunch of transactions to places in the Bahamas, which some people were like, oh, well, they were just trying to move it to offshore accounts, right? To embezzle it more. That guy had made statements about being in, he's like, you don't want to be in a small country where a lot of people are mad at you or hate you. Yeah. And there is speculation that he owes people there a lot of money, and that's why he was funneling money out so fast to try to pay out this stuff, and he clearly didn't make the payments.
So people think he's dead?
Well, he got put in prison, a prison there in the Bahamas or wherever he was, that is supposedly one of the worst prisons in the world to be in.
Oh, it's kind of what you get, I feel like.
So this is where the conspiracy thing starts, though, is that he was put in this prison, which has been known to have uninvestigated murders happen in it, basically.
Okay, this does sound like a real Epstein situation.
Right. So the theory is, okay, they put him in here because now they want to get rid of him and just do away with him. And if it happens in that situation, there's a chance that, you know, allegedly it won't be looked into at all.
Well, kind of serves him right.
Well,
not that, like, I don't know how you get justice in a situation like this.
I don't think you do.
So many people were swindled out of so much money.
Because honestly, not that I'm saying like I would ever want to see somebody dead, but him dying would solve nothing. He's already ruined so much shit that it wouldn't solve anything.
But it's not like he's going to be able to pay all those people back either.
Even if he could,
ever.
It's not like he would.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ship already
thing now.
Yeah. The ship already fucking sank. Like,
yeah,
all the goods were on the ship and it's at the bottom of the ocean. So sorry.
Have you been paying attention to this Logan Paul drama with his crypto zoo?
No, but is it also like floundering?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so
good. It would be too soon if I stopped seeing that fuckwit's name on everything.
So I might be getting this wrong, but I might be getting some of the names wrong. But I believe a YouTube channel called CoffeeZilla did like an indictment about.
I like CoffeeZilla.
Okay, so is that a real channel?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's one of the guys who's like at the forefront of calling some of this shit out.
Yeah. So he did like an indictment of this crypto zoo thing and was telling people like Logan Paul's working with known criminals, like known blah, blah, blah. Like basically like all the people who are working for him are scammers and like proving like evidence and background and all this stuff. And then Logan Paul responded and was like, all that's just not true, but he didn't provide like any evidence. And he's saying he's going to like sue CoffeeZilla over defamation of character and stuff like that. But he's kind of like his fan base is kind of abandoning him for the second time.
I was going to say, people clearly forgot that this asshole was canceled once before.
Yeah. Some people survived the first cancellations.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, I feel like it's almost like if you want to get canceled, like it's hard to bounce back if you are that big and you have that many people all at once turn against you.
Yeah, especially like a YouTube star. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what Logan Paul does. I've never seen a single one of his videos.
I think that's all he is. Yeah, he's just like one of the earlier YouTube celebrities.
A different one.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, him and his brother, I think, or maybe it's his brother, Jake Paul.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I feel like when I see pictures of them, they look the same to me.
They look exactly the same. Yeah. All I know is I'm fucking tired of hearing about them. Like, I'm so sick of it because they're like celebrities and I'm like, why? Why are we making these people celebrities and giving them so much money?
I was thinking about this the other day. I feel like celebrity nowadays is so much more of like a flash in the pan than it used to be. It's like these people are huge for like a year and then they literally just go away entirely and you never hear about them again. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I was watching some video and this guy was talking about movie celebrities, especially movie stars, and how movie stars don't necessarily exist anymore, because he was even talking about, like, think about it, back in the day, like you would probably go see a movie if like Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it. That was his prime example. Right.
Let's go.
So because of that, any movie that popped up, whatever the poster for it was, you were like, oh shit, Arnold Schwarzenegger's in that? I don't even really care what it's about. I'll go see it. That doesn't really exist anymore. Like, I can't think of a single person other than maybe Daniel Radcliffe. When his face pops up, I'm like, oh shit, I'll see a Daniel Radcliffe movie. Hell yeah, dude. I love Daniel Radcliffe.
That's funny to me.
But it just, even I feel like because we were watching something popped up for the Nutty Professor, and I was like, I miss Eddie Murphy. Like he was another one of those guys. Like
Yeah.
it didn't really matter what movie Eddie Murphy was in. He would like make the movie. That's why you watch the movie, is because he's in it. He is the star. Same thing with like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It didn't necessarily matter what the movie was, but now you look at that same scenario in a different light, and the light that this guy in the video was describing was what's his face, Robert Downey Jr., right? So the guy who plays Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
He had a movie come out. He made like another like Dr. Dolittle movie, and it fucking flopped.
I've never even heard of it.
Exactly. And it was recently he did that. That was recently. And it like flopped. And this guy was saying that's why, because he is not a movie star. Iron Man is the star. Tony Stark. That is
so true.
Yeah. Tony Stark, the character he plays, is the star. That actor is not the star.
Yeah, that is very true. I guess I never really like sat down and thought about it.
Yeah, and it's so strange. It's the new dynamic is so strange.
Well, it's almost like existing IP driven a lot of the time.
Right.
Like your Star Wars, your Disney shit, like is always going to draw an audience no matter who's in that movie. If they do fucking Avengers with a bunch of Muppets, people are going to go see it.
Oh, you mean all of the movies these days, the ones that Disney owns? Much. I feel like if Disney doesn't own the movie coming out, most people might not even know that it came out, because
I know we live in such a weird dystopian future.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is we live in that weird dystopia where even like if you and I wanted to make a movie right now, even if we got millions of dollars in backing and all this stuff, there's a good chance 5 people would know it came out, because if Disney or whatever doesn't want them to know about it, they're going to make it happen that nobody knows about your movie.
Who's the other big one? Like Warner Brothers?
Yeah, Warner Brothers is still really big. I mean, and obviously now a lot of shit has shifted too, where you have like Netflix and Hulu making their own, they have their own movies that they specifically make. Yeah. So,
which is true, which I don't know how like they pay for that.
I don't either, because obviously they're making tons of money in monthly revenue, because like Netflix, although somebody said they're thinking about putting advertisements on there.
Yeah, which is a good way to get me to never watch Netflix again.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
The meme was hilarious. It was like me finding out Netflix is thinking about doing ads, and he opens a coffin and he's like, right this way, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would just ruin the whole thing, because then we've come full circle. We're back to fucking TV. It's just normal TV now.
Exactly. And that's not what I want to do.
Right.
Sorry. Regular TV is horrible. Oh my God. We were like, I just imagine like your kids growing up compared to like how we had to watch TV. And I know people are like, well, fucking way back when it was way worse. You only had 2 channels, and only if you had the rabbit ears right.
Yeah. Only if you had enough foil on one.
Yeah, exactly. And like your grandpa had to open his mouth just right.
Yeah. See, but like, even I have to tell my kids that, I'm like, we didn't have the luxury of watching all of our favorite shows back-to-back episodes, no breaks in between, no man, commercials. We had to wait
weeks for Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. So they will never understand.
Which is kind of sad, because like that hype train, like coming home from school, freaking popping on Pokemon, like seeing what was going to happen that day. Like, how do you recapture that now?
Right. And there was a reason where you had like the last time on and then the next time on. Yeah. Because you had to wait a week in between. So, and then the next time on got you hyped up for next week. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it's not the same anymore, because they can just watch them all back to back. No commercials, no breaks in between, no nothing. And if I honestly think it's like detrimental, I don't think it's a good thing. I mean, and they were saying that when we were little too, that television is ruining everything, which to an extent, that's probably kind of true.
I mean, is the world not on fire?
Exactly. That's what I mean. We've been on this slippery slope for how long have humans been around? Since then, we've been on this sort of slippery ass slope.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say this out loud, but like I have a feeling this is going to be the year that something goes down.
You think so? You think 2023 is going to be it, huh?
This is going to be the year the gates to hell open up or something.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Doesn't it feel like it's been building and building and building for a while now?
Kind of. So
like something's got to break.
You know the feeling you have when, like, say two people in a crowded room, right? Like are arguing with each other or have an argument, and then the rest of the room kind of goes quiet.
Yeah.
Like you can physically feel that tension. And that's kind of just like a settled feeling in my chest anymore. Like there's just this feeling of anxiety and tension. Like every day when I leave the house, I'm like, well, is today going to be it? Because kind of feels like it could be. I mean, dude, we just went to the grocery store and spent almost $300 and we didn't even get a full cart of food.
Really? Holy shit.
That was at Walmart. So if Walmart is now expensive, what the fuck? What are we going to do?
Like, I don't know.
Something's going to have to change because everybody's going to be broke soon. You literally will have rich people and fucking broke people. There will be no in between.
Yeah, the middle class is disappearing.
Yeah, which they've been saying for a long time, but I feel like it is now 100% happening.
Yeah, but what's going to change it?
I don't know. When all of a sudden the rich people are like, hey, how come all my money is not flowing in anymore? And the secretary's like, it's because there's nobody's working at all. They're like, well, what do you mean? Yeah. How do you mean nobody's working? It's because most of them are dead because they can't afford food anymore. Like,
yeah. Oh, they just died.
Yeah, they all died of starvation because they literally couldn't go to our grocery stores and buy the food that we have on the shelves. Can't afford it.
Oh, it's stressing me out.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It is. It's all a fucking bummer. That's the biggest thing, too. It's just a big bummer, and it bums me out.
I know, but like I kind of wonder at other points in history if this is how like the kind of like younger, not like super young, but like the middle adults who are not really in control of everything felt, you know?
Maybe.
Like has it always been like this? Like it always feels like everything's falling apart?
To be honest, probably. We actually talked about this at one point because we were talking about like when we were kids, how, everything seemed, even when you're like a young adult, middle school, early high school, like everything just seems fine and great and you're not all that stressed out and stuff. And if anything, though, nowadays, kids in middle school and high school are stressed out, though, because they're on the internet seeing how shitty things are around the world. Whereas like when we were growing up, you didn't really see that. So you didn't have
we got on the internet to watch End of the World and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel like we didn't necessarily have those. And so that would mean that everybody before us probably was very in a similar way, right? Like when you're a young kid, your parents would read the newspaper and they would get stressed out. But as a younger kid, you're not really as stressed out. But now it seems like younger and younger people are seeing the problems because it's in your face all the time.
But is that because like negativity gets more clicks than positivity?
Absolutely. Yes.
So it like the internet kind of just has a negative spin on it because that's what people will click on.
I think so. I think there is a large, that is a large extent of it. Yes. Because positivity, is not nearly as good.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I'm like standing looking at a sunset and I'm like, man, the world is fucking beautiful.
Right.
And then you get on the internet and you're like, oh my God, everything fucking sucks. The oceans are dying. Fucking fish are dying.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, everything is so fucked.
You're like looking at the screen and then you like open your curtains again to make sure everything's not on fire.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, it's still pretty out there. The ducks are still there. Okay.
Yeah. All my grass is still there. Yeah, it's like it's okay.
Exactly. And so I wonder if it's more like a distortion of true perception that kind of gives this gloom to all of us.
To me, the legitimate thing that like settles on me as like the stress is these new like increasing prices of everything, right?
Yes. And I think that is very justified.
And nobody can avoid that necessarily, but like we just also got a bill from the insurance for a medical visit we had to have, and I was like, oh fuck, like that's expensive. And then we just had the groceries on top of that, and then it's like, well, and then we're gonna have to pay for this, and oh, by the way, Amazon's fucking Prime price is going up for some fucking reason because those guys need more. Yeah, the yearly price is going up again, and I'm like, oh yeah, because they need more money. Like, now I understand that yes, Amazon employs a ton of people, but I've also heard that it's a pretty shitty place to work. Like, so
have we talked about Amazon and like the fact that their average turnover rate for employees is 2 weeks?
I have heard that. I don't know if we've necessarily talked about it, but I have heard that. Yeah, because on average, I've heard it's not. I'm assuming if you are one of the lowest tier workers, now maybe if you stayed long enough to work your way up a little bit, and if you're enough of a prick, probably to, enforce the rules coming down from the top, yeah, it might not be such a bad job. But that's also where the disconnect comes in, right? Because in order to get ahead these days, it feels like you
got to fucking cut and stab, and I feel like I am not like that.
I feel like I'm not either. I don't want to do that. I don't want to see other people do that. And the sad part is that some people are like, I'll do that. I'll stab that guy if I get more money. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like capitalism does breed like a culture of all of us being against everyone.
It is. It does. And a big part of the problem to me is that like empathy and things like that they're not gone, but a lot of the times, like anything you read on the internet, right? So as an example, all right, so recently these younger kids, I guess, got in a wreck out on the freeway out here close to where we live.
Oh.
And so it was like a 16-year-old driving and then like a 15-year-old and a 14-year-old or something like that. And it was late at night. They were on the freeway. It was icy. A deer ran out. They swerved to miss the deer and they wrecked, right? 2 of them were ejected. Everybody survived.
Shit, dude.
Nope. Nobody died. Okay. Nobody died. However, all the comments, this was posted like on Facebook by a news outlet. And then all the comments on Facebook were like, what were those kids doing out so late at night? They shouldn't have been out on those roads. Why were they? Well, they were coming back from a movie, first of all. Okay. That was stated in the article. They were returning from a movie, right? So whatever time it was, midnight, 11 o'clock, something. They shouldn't have been out. If you're 16, you can't drive with other people in the car till blah, blah, blah. All these things basically saying the parents are a piece of shit, all this stuff. Very few people being like, well, thank God nobody was killed. Like, thankfully everybody's okay and survived. And no, they were like, the parents are going to have to cover the restitutions if there's any damage done, blah, blah, blah. It's like, fuck off. All right. You just stop. And the internet has made that such an exacerbated problem where everybody gets to have their say from their keyboard. Like, maybe even people who should keep their opinions to themselves. Like,
I feel like that's also part of the problem in our age is that you get to know like everybody's true opinion about events instead of like where people would like give you their public opinion and then they have their private opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Because people just like it's almost like they just always want to have the gloves off when you're on the internet.
Exactly, dude. The gloves are fucking off. The brass knuckles are on.
Yeah.
They've dipped their fucking hands in lemon juice. Like they're going at you.
They dip them in like tar and then tax.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just
what is that fucking goddamn movie where they're about to fight and the guy's like sticking his hands in like glass and shit, and the other guy's sticking his hand in like gummy worms and
that's
stuff.
what I was thinking too. Yeah, I can't
Hot
remember what
Shots?
that is. Hot Shots. Yeah, that is what it is. Yeah, he dips them in gummy bears and stuff. Yeah. That's, but like you're saying, and people, it really does though kind of show people's true colors for the most part, is that they just want to be, they're like, well, what's somebody going to do? Punch me in the face? No, I'm sitting behind my screen. I'm perfectly safe right here. So yeah, I'll say some really horrible shit about these people who I don't even know. It's like, it's just created so many monsters.
Yeah, I just feel like this year, I feel like something's going to happen. Something big's going to happen.
Oh, I hope it's an EMP, dude. That's what I'm hoping for.
Because that way, want that?
Yeah, because that way, like, you know, an EMP, like, it's not gonna kill anybody outright, but like,
I think a lot of people would die.
Probably not surprised. Not immediately, but there's a lot of people who are gonna die for sure.
A lot of people.
Oh,
I think you would be so surprised how fast everything would be fucked.
Oh yeah, it would be some dies the fire shit for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be fixed. But I don't know. I feel like people would go feral pretty fast.
An EMP, though, like with the way our technology works today, would be one of the worst possible thing. Like a legitimate fucking fries your electronics EMP would be one of the worst possible things to happen to a country, planet, whatever you want to call it, because our like the electronics and stuff that we use now, I feel like are so sensitive to that kind of stuff that it wouldn't be like a matter of, hey, my phone's not working, I'll just take it down to the local dude and he'll fix it. No, it would fry it to the point, like if you had stuck it in the microwave for a few seconds, it would be that fucked.
I don't know if this is true, but this is something I remember reading, is that like if we got hit with an EMP, it would fry the grid to a place where it needs to be replaced. Like you can't just like re-tap into like the old electrical system. They would have to start over.
Right. Most likely because, the technology would be fried to the point where you can't just be like, oh, let me remove this thing and put this thing in.
They would have to go in and like lay all the electrical lines again.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true.
Ugh.
It could be fucking hearsay. That's why when you say that, I'm like, oh, I'm so scared.
Yeah. I don't know. I picture like
you're the one with fucking kids.
I know. Oh, trust me. Trust me. I know that. But right now, I am very worried about the world that we are leaving for my kids, right?
You know, the funny thing, I've been listening to it, which like when they're older, when it's like 1981, I believe.
Uh-huh.
There's a conversation literally about that like they feel irresponsible bringing kids into the world because the world is in such a shitty place. In the 80s, people were saying that.
Right. Yeah. And
so I wonder if that's always been a feeling.
Oh, I guarantee it has. There's actually Tom McDonald has a line in one of his songs that's something to the effect of, we're worried about leaving a better planet for our kids, but what about leaving better kids for our planet?
Yeah.
And that kind of sticks with me because I'm like, well, I'm doing the best I can, that I think I can, to hopefully raise good human beings, right? And the sad thing is, though, that that's clearly not the case in every household, obviously, around the world. And it seems like that's why Idiocracy is becoming more and more of a documentary, right? Like, maybe the best is not being done in every household to try to raise good replacement human beings for the next era of civilization.
Yeah, I don't know. But
well,
like, who determines what's good human beings, you know?
Right. Well, and we got into this last time, remember? Because we talked about that there should be potentially, you know, maybe some paperwork you should have to fill out before you.
That's what I think. That's honestly what I like truly think. I don't think there would ever be a way to have a fair system in that.
No, I don't think there would be either.
But I will say people who have kids and treat them poorly pisses me off.
Right.
It
Well, and
makes me like genuinely upset.
is the system fair even after that point though? Because who is it fair for? Okay, these people got to have these kids that they can't afford. So now not only are those kids who had nothing, they didn't have a choice. Now they are going to potentially have a not very good life because their parents made the decision to have them when they knew potentially that they had no business having them, right? Or something to that effect. So now who is it fair to? Is it fair to me now who potentially has to pay for those kids? Because
no, I would say that's unfair.
I agree. So is it also then unfair to say maybe those people should just not have been allowed to have those kids in the first place? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a sticky subject for sure.
Absolutely. It's a very taboo subject too, because obviously most people, if you were to say, I believe people should have to qualify to have kids. Like if you said something like that, most people would be like, well, you're a piece of shit for saying that. And you could look them dead in the eyes and be like, am I really though? Like, am I really? I mean, obviously I know there are things going on around the world that I could never fathom, right? That are that horrible. But in places where we potentially have the ability to say, we don't want it to turn out like that. Would it not make more sense then to be like, kind of like that one book we listened to, right? Where you had to qualify, you had to be financially sound, you had to have a, relatively stable household and things like that before you qualified to have children. I mean, at this day and age, doesn't that kind of make sense? Like, yeah, back in the day, it might not have because we just needed to survive. But nowadays, maybe it does make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. The only issue for me is like, how would a system like that ever truly be like fair and just and not get abused like everything else does?
Right. Well, I can tell you right now, the systems we have in place are not fair and just by any means. Anyways.
No, they get abused, but I feel like it's hard for me to say I trust our government enough to be able to handle something as nuanced as who is allowed to have children.
Yeah, I don't trust our government to do fucking most things.
Like you don't fucking trust your government to like take the trash out on time. Like,
right?
How in the fuck would we trust them to do that?
No,
that's where like to me it always kind of loses face because it's just like there's governments are flawed because they're run by humans and it's all of us kind of suck.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Right. No, that system could probably only exist in a system that doesn't look like ours right now. Because our system it's fucked, dude. It's so fucked.
I don't know. I kind of want the robots to take over. Maybe they do better with the planet than we would.
They could be our overlords.
No, I don't want to be like a human meat slave. I would rather they just kill us.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Cthulhu will come and devour us all.
Perhaps the Chaos God. That could be kind of fun.
Yeah. Just a couple days of just darkness and lightning, and then he shows up and he just
purple
consumes you. Yeah. Well, he shows up and you see him, and then you just lose your mind and you die because you saw him.
Well, wouldn't we all lose our minds if he was literally unearthed?
Potentially.
Like if he was just walking around, wouldn't it fucking fuck us all up?
That's the way it's been proposed. Although in the book, I mean, those guys that don't directly see him when he first comes out, they don't die because they hit him with the boat.
That's true. But correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the first scene like his like the water level lowers enough that his like part of his thing is exposed and like the whole world has like a moment of like disorientation and confusion and fear,
nightmares and things. Yeah. All at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't you think something that's that powerful, just like hanging out would be enough?
God, it feels like there could be something like that already hanging out.
Maybe. I don't know. See, and that's like the thing I think that's most depressing about reality is that the evil in real world is humans. It's not fucking monsters.
Right. Yeah, the real monsters are people.
Are just humans. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's so depressing.
Yeah. Because if there was a quote unquote monster like Cthulhu, we would have already killed it as humans. That's just what we do.
Yeah, or God, what's the monster called with all the eyeballs that floats?
In Lovecraft?
No, in D&D.
Oh,
Beholder.
oh my gosh, a beholder, yeah.
Yeah, like if a beholder's pulling all the strings, like, okay, that makes sense why everything fucking sucks. But it's not like that.
Yeah, but as far as we know, well, some people would say it's, lizard people, lizard alien beings disguised as people.
The reptoids?
Yeah. The sad part is though, honestly, I don't think even an alien race, I honestly think it'd be like a South Park situation where they show up and they're like, oh, no, we are not having any contact with you guys ever again. You guys are horrible.
Or where their fucking reality TV they watch.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think. That's the most likely scenario, I think. We are entertaining somebody right now because we are
Like,
the worst.
Maybe we are like the most volatile being that some alien race made on accident, and they just stuck a bunch of us on a planet to see what fucking happened.
Just to see what would happen. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, yeah, because dude, we're the worst, man. People are the worst.
We kind of are. We suck ass.
We do. We ruin everything. Honestly, like, I understand 100%. I am not naive enough to think that like my life is worse now than somebody 200 years ago. I'm not that naive. However, like the way humans were though, like when we had like castles and things like that, like, yeah, life was probably awful for humans, but the world itself was probably a much better place as far as, Mother Nature herself being in control and healthy and things like that.
I think for sure.
Because right now, all we give a fuck about is just ruining the thing. I mean, even in that Krampus book, he's like, it's like cutting off your own arm to feed yourself. Like, why would you do that?
I mean, I think it's pretty telling that when Genghis Khan killed so many people, like the carbon emissions went down, even back then.
Yeah.
So like getting rid of people good for the earth.
Did you see there was a picture somebody posted of LA during like peak lockdown and there was almost no smog over the city?
Really?
Yeah. During peak lockdown because there was obviously very few people traveling at that point. So
well, I've seen people make like the comparison, like, like the in the last 20 years, the only time the carbon emissions have went down was over the pandemic. And they're like, see, like it's totally possible for us to do it. We just choose not to.
Yeah. Well, and like I personally, I think that I think the world changes obviously over time, right? The world goes through cycles.
Yeah.
We just happen to be a part of a cycle. However, like say this cycle was going to go from like ice age to ice age or something like that, right? And that there has to be typically, as far as we know, there, in the past, there's been a cataclysmic event potentially that led up to these certain shifts. It honestly, though, right now feels like we are the cataclysmic event that is accelerating things forward to the next phase of the earth.
I think we like the earth would probably do this on its own, except for we are fucking stepping on the gas. We brought the cinder block and slammed it down on the gas pedal.
Exactly. That's exactly what I mean. That we are like the tipping point that's kicking this off where we are now in society. Yeah. Like, I feel like humans 500 years ago, like, yeah, we were here and we were probably a nuisance still because cutting down all the trees and raping our churches and burning our women,
burning the women,
doing all that stupid shit that humans do where we just kill each other all the time because fuck, we're stupid. But now it's far more detrimental. Before we just killed each other, but now we are for sure 100% trying to kill the planet. Like,
Yeah, it almost feels like malicious too.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, because and you see all this green new energy bullshit, but I don't get behind any of that stuff because I think I've said this to you before. Like, okay, if solar panels are as good as you tell me, which I do believe there is a lot of merit to that, every house having solar panels. If they knew 100% that could save us all, they would show up at your house and say, "Here's your solar panels. Where do you want them?" And you'd be
Yeah.
like, "Well, how much do I owe you?" They'd be like, "No, no, no, nothing. We're installing them because you have to have them now." But they don't do that because it's not about that. It's about the fucking money of how much money they could make off the solar panels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is no common good.
Right. No, it's like all the wind turbines going up everywhere, right? Like if that was for the good of all of us, then because there are wind turbines less than 10 miles from my house, my electric bill should have gone down essentially, right?
Should
But
have.
but no, my electric bill keeps fucking going up. So I don't understand. I don't know. That's why
Hmm.
I'm much more of like I like the ideas of like libertarianism more than like the way our democracy government type stuff works. And I've listened to a couple podcasts where they discuss, and I've read some stuff. By no means do I know anything about it. I'm not going to pretend that, but I like this one guy had a very interesting idea of, say, like a town that was fully constructed on the idea of libertarianism, right? So down to the city level, he's not even talking like the world or the country or the state, even down to the city level. Like you go around, right, and you tell everybody, okay, we want to construct a library for the city. Okay. So we're asking everybody to pitch in money to help so we can afford the construction costs of this library. If you pitch in, you're free to visit the library once it's completed, forever. If you don't want to pitch in, that's perfectly fine. However, then there will be a fee when you want to use the library in the future or what have you. So it gives people the option to pay into these services versus the government who is like, hey, you made some money, you owe us some money. And if you're like, well, I don't want to pay that money, they're like, well, then you're going to fucking prison. So those are your options. Like,
I don't know where you left off.
I don't know where I left off either. I don't know where you lost me. It must have been shortly after I was talking about the government. They basically shut my internet off.
It's pretty fucking weird,
Dude,
right?
I'm not kidding. It was like I was finishing my sentence and all of a sudden it was saying like your internet connection's unstable. And then Zoom just like minimized and it was like disconnected. I was like, okay. And then I went to try to run an internet speed test. It wouldn't even bring up the freaking website. So,
Shit, man.
yeah, dude. See, apparently, well, you start criticizing the government, and it's just like, oh yeah, watch this, bitch, I'm disconnected.
Criticize this motherfucker.
Yeah, good luck, asshole. No internet. Yeah, I don't remember. I was talking about libertarianism, and I don't know what the
I feel
last
like
thing you heard
I
was.
at least I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, you didn't hear any of it? Oh
I
wow.
don't think so.
Yeah, apparently it was quite a while that it was off.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I don't know. It was just the this idea of like in a city, if say the city wanted to have a library, right?
Uh-huh.
You go around and you would tell people like, hey, we want to build a library for the city, and we'd like people to pitch in money to help fund this project of the library being built. If you pitch in money, you are 100% free to use the library for the rest of your life or whatever. But if you choose not to pitch in money, which you don't have to, then when you do want to use the library in the future, there will probably be a fee associated with you using the library or something to that effect, right?
Okay.
Versus the way it works now, when you make some money, the government's like, our cut, please. Can we have our cut? And if you're like, yeah, no, that's okay. I'm not going to give you that. They're like, well, then you're going to prison.
Yeah.
And then even if you're like, well, I can't really afford to pay you any, they're like, well, too bad. You're going to prison then. So just the way the system works, instead of like maybe that is somebody's last like $200 that you're asking for a library. And if they're like, well, I don't want to give you my last $200, then you just say, okay, that's fine. Then, when the library is completed, you will probably have to pay if you want to use it. They might be like, well, that's fine. At least I got my $200 now. So
can you explain how like a libertarian fire department would work?
I mean, the way I would see it is you probably do a similar thing, right?
Would it
we're
be like
going
a
to need
subscription based?
either subscription or, yeah, I guess that could be, which essentially is what your taxes are. I understand that. But at least in this more kind of
No, I'm not
zoomed
like
in,
shooting holes in it. I was just asking questions.
well, the way I would kind of see it in this more like zoomed in view is, yeah, essentially something like a subscription thing, right? Like, hey, we need money to fund a fire department, right? So maybe that money is $50 a month from everyone, right? Or something like that. But then you're right. How does it look? What they get a call, hey, this house is on fire. Well, they don't have a subscription. So
Looks like the Jeffersons didn't pay this month.
yeah. So I guess we're gonna have to let it burn. Like I don't know. That's a good question. Because that's essentially what taxes are, right? Or what they're supposed to be, a pool of money that pays for these essential services, fire, police, roads, what have you. But they've just it's gotten so out of whack, especially like in the United States, because nowadays it's like they pay for the military and maybe some other stuff at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah, I think where I take the main issue with our government is that they spend so much money on the military.
so much, dude.
I mean, you
Unfathomable
worked
amounts of
in the
money.
military, you know, like of like how wasteful they can be.
Yeah. And it's unfathomable amounts of money that they spend on this stuff. Trillions of dollars. That's an insane amount of money.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Like, why do we need that big of a military?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's because like we were talking about earlier, like that's what we do as people. We kill each other. Like it's just
Yeah, I guess. And like I understand wanting to protect what's yours, but like where do we draw the line where like being more powerful than the next three closest countries is like how much is enough?
right. Yeah. And
to
at what
feel
point
comfortable?
at what point do you start saying, all right, let's start funneling this money into other things to better the entire country?
Yeah.
Like it's more than enough money to, I don't know, solve the homeless problems or
Yeah.
solve the poverty in our country. It's more than enough money to do those things. So why aren't we doing that instead?
I don't know. See,
Because
this is why I feel like
America,
AI
man.
would kill us because we are so like inefficient and stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. So dumb. Yeah.
And I feel like we act so much off of like feelings that like a computer would just never truly like see us as necessary.
Yeah, but the ones who that's just it. The people who are getting to act off their feelings, those people are psychopaths. Like
Yeah.
because they are doing things that the rest of us would probably be like, yeah, if I was in that spot, I probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But then again, it goes back to that like American Dad episode when they get to do the morning announcements and it just goes right to their head immediately.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. What would I do if I was in charge of billions and billions of dollars? I don't know. But I would like to think that I wouldn't continuously hold other people underwater, basically.
I don't know what I would do either. I guess and I feel like you could never truly say how you would handle it until you had that money.
Right. Exactly. And I'm sure maybe before most of these people got to those positions, they would have said something different than the way they actually act now. So,
yeah, I don't know. It scares me. It scares me how inherently greedy we are.
yeah. I was watching I'll try to segue this into a sort of happier place.
Okay.
So Paul Hollywood has a couple of shows on the Roku channel.
Who?
Huh?
Who?
Did you say who?
Who?
Dude,
Like who? Who? I
Paul
didn't hear.
Hollywood. Oh.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
hear you.
oh, okay. Yeah, Paul Hollywood. Um, so he has a couple of different shows that he did on the Roku channel, and one of them he does a couple different things. Like he shows you how to bake different kinds of breads, and
Okay, that's pretty lit. I'd watch that.
yeah, but then he also goes around to different places and talks to them about maybe breads that they make that are from, their home country or something like that, maybe that they brought to London and stuff like that. And he learns how to make these different kinds of breads. And in one of the episodes, he goes and he talks to, I actually think it's the first episode, he talks to this farmer, and the guy grows, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But one of the things he grows is like wheat and rye and, barley. And he's like, yeah. And then I take it to that mill right over there. And he like points to the other side of his field to this family owned mill that mills his grain down. And then they mill it down, put it straight into paper bags from the mill and sell it just like that. No processing, packaging plant involved, no nothing. And I'm like, why can't we be more like that? Like, when did we get away from, I guess, when there was too many people? Is that when we got away from that?
Well, I think we got away from that when a factory can produce 500 times more wheat than that guy. So now we don't have to have a mill in every town. We just have to have a store in every town.
Right.
And everybody still has access to flour. And
Right.
since that flour magnet is so powerful, he just buys up all the small places anyway.
Yeah. Well, especially here, I feel like that's what happens is.
Yeah, fucking vertical integration.
Yes. That I feel like is mostly what happens.
It's so fucking unfair.
Well, it is. It's very unfair, and it's very unfortunate because I personally, I wish it was more like that here, where maybe I could just run down the street and the dude who just bought grain out of the field across the street from my house, he just milled it right there, 2 days ago. And I get this freshly ground, non-bleached, non-processed product that I know right where it came from. Like it's just so the factory production of everything that we use. And that was a big difference too on the show, is like he goes around to a couple different shops, right, to get food for the thing he's going to bake. And like one of the shops he goes into, it's literally just a cheese shop. That's the only thing they sell in there is cheese. And I'm like, that's so cool. And I understand it's so much more convenient how we have it, that I can just go to Walmart and I can buy all the shit that I need.
Yeah, but convenient doesn't mean better.
That's what I was going to say though, is I don't necessarily think the convenience of it though outweighs the fact that like this dude knows cheese, because that's all he does is cheese. He's the cheese guy. And then this guy down here is the meat guy. And maybe this gal down here, she's the fruit lady. Like these are their specialties, and they are also being ethical and smart in the way that they source those things to sell you. So it would be nice if it was a little more closer to that, especially here in the US, where we've gotten so far off of that it would be almost impossible to get back on the rails.
It doesn't pay to be ethical.
No, especially not anymore. I feel like
that's the problem, is like it's just about money, and whatever fucking avenue you go about getting money is right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and it would be it. And like I've said before, until we get away from money as the source of everything moving forward, there will be no change.
No.
Until we get back to the day where I walk down to the cheese shop and I'm like, hey, I got 3 chicks that were born last night. Could I get a wheel of cheese for these 3 chicks? And they were like, yeah, here you go. Here's your wheel of cheese. Thanks for my 3 chicks.
Yeah, bartering would be way cooler.
It'd be way cooler. But again, so many people would die. Like
so many people would die. Yeah.
Because if like tomorrow we had to barter, like I have a couple things I could barter.
And I could
But so many people would be like, I'm a financial guru. And they'd be like, what's that? I can handle your money. What is that? What do we
Handling
need
people's
money
money's
for?
not a real job.
Yeah. Handling money shouldn't be a real job. Those people make a lot of money though doing that.
Yeah,
But
they do.
that's because though we've gotten to this point where there was this great video I watched on bullshit jobs. There are so many people's jobs who are it's just bullshit because there's just too many people to even do most of the jobs because
Yeah.
we've solved so many of those jobs with technology that a lot of people could technically not need to work, but because you still need money, therefore we all need to have a job. So hence bullshit jobs that maybe don't even need to be there.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why I feel like, especially with like the rising tide in AI, I feel like it's going to come to a point where like there is not enough for all of us to do.
Yeah.
On like
See,
at least for like a basic like commodity based system, I feel like there will not be enough jobs for everyone.
right. See, and you would think that would lead to maybe like the next like Renaissance type thing, right? Where because
Maybe.
well, you would think like, okay, because people have been freed up so much, right? We would have this huge surge in artistic things because people are now free from their 9 to 5. Maybe people will explore more artistic things and we will advance as a society. But I just I don't see it happening. It will just be no, most of you are just going to die because there's no jobs for you to do. Therefore, there's no
Yeah,
money
and
for
we're not
you.
paying to keep you alive. So,
Yeah.
and you actually don't benefit us in the long run.
Right.
So you could just die slow.
Yeah, that's the outcome I would see happening. Sadly enough, that's
No,
what I
for
would
sure.
see.
I feel like that's just human nature, right?
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, they used to freaking blow the mines in on the miners instead of fucking paying them.
Instead of having to pay them. Yeah.
It's like it's not like injustices like that have already have happened.
Yeah.
They're in our history, and probably much worse shit than that we just don't know about.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably far worse than I would actually want to know
like, probably
about.
the most horrible thing you've ever heard. Somebody's already done it.
Yeah.
It's probably happening right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could be happening at this moment while we're speaking about it.
Oh, it just like makes me sick.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know. Money is the root of all evil. That's the roundabout way of saying what we were trying to say. Which
But
everybody's known for a long time.
Yeah, we have, but I feel like we just don't care.
No.
Like we all know, but it's like, yeah, but like, what do I do about it? I like to go buy things.
Yeah, exactly.
But I already spent put a bunch of time into getting all this money now. It's like, yeah, I guess you're fucking right.
Did you see there's been some, shakes again in like the computer world because Nvidia put out their new line of graphics cards and people were complaining because I guess they did a teardown of one of the graphics cards and they were like, this is literally the same as the last gen. It's identical or something like that. And so Nvidia, I think it was the 4080s, okay? The 4080 line. They said people were like, this is a 3090 card or a 3080 card. It's the same card, something to that extent. So Nvidia rebranded it as a 4070 Ti. It's not a 4080 anymore. They rebranded it 4070 Ti and reduced the price by $100 MSRP, which actually made it worse for them because people were like, oh, you're admitting it. Now you admitted that it wasn't what you said it was. And you're also admitting that you can charge less for it because they didn't change anything about it.
I think my next computer, I'm going all AMD everything.
That's what mine is right now. And I at this point couldn't be happier with it.
I think that's what I'm going to do.
I'd like to get a new monitor, like a gaming 140 hertz monitor, but I don't need one.
Are those still crazy expensive?
They can be. Yeah.
So can you explain what 144 hertz means to me? A simple boy from the country.
So that's the refresh rate. So
Every second?
yes, so it refreshes 144 times every second.
But that means your FPS has to be 144 as well, correct?
Correct. Yes. So if you cannot get 144, I mean, in most of those newer monitors, you can lock the frame rate. Like in a game, you could lock it to 60, and then the monitor can lock to 60 also. So there's no weird looking things happening in it. But ideally, then you can run a game at 144 hertz,
Yeah, think of how
144
smooth Factorial
frames.
will be.
Right. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Stardew Valley, 144.
Yeah, dude, those pixels are so smooth.
Yeah. Can't wait.
So I don't know. I guess I understand the appeal of that if you're playing like Counter-Strike or whatever. So you want like the smoothest gameplay possible. But I feel like even when I play Dota, I can't really notice the difference between like 45 FPS and 60 FPS sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like I can, depending on the game, if I'm getting less than 60, just because that's what I'm so used to is 60. I feel like I can notice, but it really does depend on the game, because some games I can't tell at all.
Yeah, like what frame rate does Stronghold run in?
It's probably only meant to run at 30. So when you run it at 60, it actually makes it look even more weird, because
yeah, so it looks fucking jank.
Yeah, because you're technically doubling it, even though it wasn't made to run at that. So therefore, things will look stranger.
Frame rate's a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, realistically though, when you bump up to 144 hertz, because I'm still running only like a 1920 by 1080, a 1080p monitor, but according to everybody, the next step you would make is up to 4K, right? So
I guess I don't even think I've ever seen anything in 4K.
I don't think I have either. And if I have, it was on my 1080p monitor, so it didn't matter.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I know. How can you tell the difference?
The technology is advancing so fast, and the cost is so astronomical that there's no
someday they'll be cheap.
Yeah, there's just no reason for me to want to keep up right now, because I'm pretty content with what I have. So,
well, and like I feel like probably the only like new game you play is Elden Ring.
Yeah, and right now I can run it on fully maxed out settings. So what do I need? I don't need like new parts for that. The next thing I would do, like I said, is I would have to step up to 4K. But then to run it at ultra settings on 4K is then you're talking some pretty hefty hardware.
What's your opinion on curved monitors?
I don't know. I personally I want to change this desk setup I have right now. I don't like, because I can't have two monitors. I wish I could have two monitors again. I would rather have two flat monitors than a single curved monitor. And that's mostly because I like to play games on one monitor and then have like YouTube or something going on the other monitor. So
Reddit, just scrolling.
Yeah. But I don't know. I was looking at a curved monitor, like an Asus monitor. The idea is cool, and they look dope. They usually have built-in LEDs too.
I feel like they look stupid.
But that's just it, though.
I feel like it looks like some Jetsons bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Well, dude, I knew this guy back in the day. He was hardcore into like World of Warcraft. And so I'm thinking, oh, okay, yeah, he games and stuff. And this is when I was just getting into PC gaming. I was still mostly on consoles. And I happened to go to his house one time, and this dude had like a fucking 47-inch TV on his desk.
As his World of Warcraft?
Yeah, dude, that was his PC monitor. Oh, dude. You want to talk about something that looks jank, man? It was crazy.
Yeah, well, I never have had the MMO bug.
No, I thought I did back in the day. I played a little bit of World of Warcraft, but I just couldn't get into it like the people around me were.
People still play that shit. Like the old fucking like the old WoW that like re-released. People paid money for it again.
Wow. Does it still have a monthly subscription?
Yeah, I believe it does. Both of them, like
All I
WoW
know is
Classic and the whatever the new WoW.
it was one of the first. I mean, it paved the way, dude. Like at one point, there was what over 9 million people playing that
Yeah,
at one time.
yeah, it was
So
super popular.
that was like Blizzard's freaking. It was Blizzard, right?
Yeah, but I mean now Blizzard is like a shit company.
Yeah. See, just goes to show. Just because you got money, doesn't mean
That's true.
doesn't mean
It's
you're
true.
smart. I heard something interesting
Okay.
that because this guy was talking about how Marvel basically shit the bed this year with everything they came out with, basically. Um, and I'm not going to speak to that very much because I don't. I've said this
saw
plenty of times.
the Thor movie.
Which
What was
one?
it called? Like Love and Thunder?
Yeah, Love and Thunder. See, I heard that was bad. Was it good?
I know it's bad.
So I guess that's helping build my point here. I didn't know though that quite a while back. So before like the Avengers movies and those things, which is kind of what launched Marvel, right? Like to the fucking stratosphere. Marvel filed for bankruptcy.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
And
that's right, because didn't they sold the rights to Spider-Man to Sony?
yes. Yeah. So they had to start selling their IPs to climb out of this bankruptcy hole. And again, though, it's where I'm very confused, like at how our system works. Because I'm like, I thought the way capitalism worked is like if you couldn't make your payments, then you're done. You failed at capitalism. Therefore, it makes room for the next guy to try his hand. But apparently, no, you can fail as many times as you want. And as long as you had money to begin with, somebody's going to bail you out and get you right back on the horse to keep going. And now Marvel is obviously like world known for all this stuff because they're making Disney even more billions and billions of dollars. And it confuses me.
I don't know. I guess. I don't know enough about that to speak to that. Maybe they did get bailed out. I feel like that's happened before, right?
Well, they would have had to because I would assume if they filed for bankruptcy, that meant they had no fucking money to do anything. But now here they are, obviously still producing some of the largest, box office hits there ever were. So,
do you have an opinion about this Avatar movie?
No, not really. I didn't see it. So, I saw the first one and I thought the first one was okay. I definitely wasn't on the this is the most amazing movie I've ever seen bandwagon.
Yeah, because how could you be?
Yeah, well, and now some people are saying this one is kind of like that, but more often than not, I'm seeing people saying like, yeah, it looked really good, but the story was really stupid.
Yeah.
They were like, it's basically the same story from the first one, just again, kind of. So
really?
I don't know. I can't.
One story they got.
I mean, James Cameron only had 13 years to come up with it, so
James Cameron.
Yeah, he can do no wrong though. So
what else has he made? Am I stupid for not knowing like his legacy?
The Titanic, Terminator,
Terminator's him.
Alien 2.
Oh, okay.
He's done a few things.
Okay, he's been around the block.
Yeah, I've heard of him,
You've heard of him, yeah? Okay.
But I don't know. I can't really speak for the movie. I'm not going to say whether or not I think it's good or bad because I haven't seen it and I don't want to just go off of what the internet is saying because that's ridiculous.
I feel like I've seen two really good movies this year too, like the Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio slap.
Oh, dude, hell yeah.
I really like Glass Onion too.
Okay, yeah. So you haven't seen that yet, so I'll have to check that one out though.
Glass Onion's super long. I've watched it twice, like in the last 2 days.
Nice.
It's pretty good. I like it.
Interesting. I've been seeing a lot about it, so I should probably go ahead and just watch it.
It's long though. You gotta like dedicate a fucking evening to that shit.
Oh man, I got kids, man. It's hard to do.
Yeah, I know. It's a hard sell, especially for you. If you like 2 hours to you, I'm sure you're like, well, I'm getting on my computer.
Yeah, I want to fire up some Dark Souls 2 here for a little bit instead.
Exactly, for some unknown reason.
Yeah, because I like to just hit my head against the wall. It feels great.
I want to play Dark Souls 2 as well, though. I was like, I don't understand that.
Honestly, I've been playing it and I find myself constantly being like, why did I even start this game again?
Because even though it's the shittiest Dark Souls, it's still Dark Souls.
It is, though. It really is. I don't know, man. There's a couple things though, like we talked about this a little bit, that Dark Souls 2 gets right. But it's just so outweighed by the things that it gets wrong.
Yeah, I think better, which is funny because you've never played have you played original Dark Souls 2, not the Scholar?
No, I've only ever played Scholar.
Yeah, and Scholar has better AI than the original Dark Souls 2 had at the time of release, which is fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah, because the AI and even in Scholar is so bad. And
yeah,
dude,
super bad.
One of the things that bugs me the most about this is how they made it so a lot of enemies will never de-aggro.
Yeah.
So I went to fight the Pursuer in the Forest of the Fallen Giants.
No, like the first time where you have to climb up?
No, where you fight him at the end of the level.
Oh, okay.
So I died to him the first time. I actually got hit. Dude, I could have recorded this shit for YouTube. I got hit by I rolled out of the way of him doing the curse stab, and it pulled me to the end of his sword.
Yeah, the grabs are super jank.
So I got hit with that, and I ended up dying in that fight. So I had to go back, and I was like, well, I don't want to fight everything on the way because I'm doing spell casting. So I was like, I don't want to waste all my
casting spells. How is that going? I've never done that in Dark Souls 2, and I'm curious.
So far, not very good.
Okay. Spells or hexes?
I'm dabbling in both. I have higher intelligence than faith, but I'm working my faith up equally because that's what hexes require, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I thought hexes drive off whichever stat is lower of the two.
Well, that could be. Maybe that's why it's not going very well for me. But their requirements are both. You have to have both intelligence and faith to use them. So that's why I've been leveling them up.
About like a fucking wizard build.
Yeah. So anyway, so I ran all the way back to Pursuer, right? And I killed him. And then all the dudes chasing me came through the fucking fog wall.
Yeah, they're just walking there.
Dude, there was like 16 dudes they come walking through. And I was like, oh, I ran right over to the freaking nest. I crouched down because I was like, well, never mind. Not going to try to fight all these guys.
One thing I will say I like about Dark Souls 2 is there's lots of ways you can go to get to places, which I think is kind of neat.
Yeah,
I mean, those 2 different ways you can get to that Lost Bastille.
Yeah, those kinds of things are interesting for sure. And even, dude, I'd be lying if I said that the Forest of the Fallen Giants like castle level is actually pretty decent as far as like looping back on itself and opening shortcuts and things like that. It's actually not bad. But there are some other levels where it, like the whatever the other kind of forest level you go to, where they had like you kick down the tree to open up a shortcut basically back to the bonfire, but there's a bonfire right next to the tree you kick down.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, like those kinds of things are just fumbles, but there's some okay level design in there. Like it's not all bad. I mean,
their enemies are just not good. The enemy AI is why I think it's fundamentally broken.
Yeah, well, and some of the even some of the honestly, a lot of it stems from the adaptability thing, to be honest.
Yeah, that's so true. You're right. Because the curse is adaptability.
Well, it really is, because if you probably rebuilt that game from the ground up with either Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3 physics, probably Dark Souls 3 would be the better way to go. And you remove the adaptability altogether, it would make it so much better, in my opinion, because like I was fighting the Lost Sinner and my adaptability is already relatively high. And I'm perfectly timing these rolls from what I thought. and I'm still getting hit. Even though
your iframes are always changing.
Yeah, I'm mid roll animation, yet my health goes and I take a hit. And I'm like, dude, I rolled through that. Why would you change it from the first game where all you had to do is memorize the set amount of iframes you had? Why would you change that? Like, which therefore
I mean, it makes understand, I guess, where they're trying to go with like, okay, if you want a tanky build, then you don't really need to level us up because you're not going to fucking roll anyway.
Because you're going to be blocking. Okay, sure.
If you want like a thief character who's not really going to roll anything, you put a lot of points into this. But I feel like the roll is such a fundamental part of Dark Souls that messing with it just feels bad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it had to have created some challenges, I would think, for them designing encounters, because
for sure
you don't know what somebody's iframes are going to be. So how long, where is the damage point of this swing? Do I want them to be able to easily roll through it, or do I want them to have more adaptability to roll through it? Like, there was even a couple parts though in the Lost Sinner fight where even just the hitboxes are so bad, where I knew for sure I was outside of the sword range.
Yeah, and the hitboxes are especially atrocious.
Yeah, dude. She would like jump up into the air and do the flip and slam down. And so I would like roll backwards, and then my guy gets flattened, even though the sword is out in front of me. It didn't touch me, but I get flattened and hit because bad hitboxes.
Yeah. The hitboxes are bad. The movement's bad. The fact that you can only move in 8 directions instead of like in regular Dark Souls where it's perfect analog movement.
Yeah, which again, why? Why would you go backwards on something that was already perfectly tuned?
I don't know.
Because it feels weird, because I was messing with it the other day. I was like, yeah, the dead zones on your stick feel so big.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, your character kind of
dead straight too.
Right. And your character will kind of move, like if you move the stick, and then all of a sudden it's like, and all the way to the side. Like, because there is no in between hardly.
And a lot of the time, like, you'll swing and an enemy will get in one of those dead zones, so you can't actually target them. It's so weird.
The thing that bugs me too is like the Hide Knights especially do this. They have like,
that fucking backward step swing that like the hitbox hits you immediately.
Yeah, there is no. Yeah, so you're like, wait, why did I get damaged? That guy wasn't even swinging his sword. Those kind of things just feel more like a gotcha type thing.
Yeah, they do feel like we're Dark Souls.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be hard, you dipshit.
Yeah, and that's not fun. Like that's not. It's not interesting when the game can just be like, well, you just took damage because you were standing there. It's like, well, that's not cool. Like, I really think too it was a fumble for them to kind of back out of the lighting engine they were going to use, in where they were going to have everything be very dark, because even in the Lost Sinner fight, it's dark, but I could still see her.
Oh, you don't go around and light the two things? I always do that.
I didn't do that. I didn't even think about it. I just was.
I don't know. I always do that. Not that it's like impossible to see her, because it's not.
No, I beat her without that. No, you can see her, but the way that they have it set up, it's still set up as if it was pitch black, because you can't lock onto her.
Yeah.
You can see her just fine, and she looks like she should be within range to lock on, but you can't because she's in the quote unquote darkness. So, but it definitely makes it more trivial because you can obviously see her jump up into the air.
Yeah.
And things like that. So you can still dodge. Whereas if it was pitch black, other than like a small circle around you, yeah, it would be almost impossible without finding some other way, either holding a torch or lighting the arena.
Which I like that environment stuff they have, that like you can do things that change the environment permanently, like with the windmill and the poison shit, wherever that's at. I can't remember where that is.
Earthen Peak.
Yeah.
Even though it's so poorly that one's so
That one makes no fucking sense that you just like walk up to like a random junction and light the windmill on fire. It
right.
doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's neat.
No, but the idea of, yes, there's things even in oh gosh, what's the underwater or not underwater, underground, like where all the pirates are.
The pirates.
Well, that's kind of what they look like.
With the fucking boat and Lucatiel's there for some reason.
Yeah. What is that place called? No Man's Wharf?
No Man's Wharf, yeah.
Even that, when you go around and once you light all of the like torch things, and then that big, or no, do you light them? How do you light the big torch thing that's like overseeing the whole thing?
It's like a button you push, right?
It's something like that, yeah. But even like those ideas, like that's cool. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, there's so many cool ideas. It's just like the execution. They just like, they were walking to the baking judge table and they tripped.
Yeah, dude, you know what it is? It's like in Deadpool when he's coming up with his name, where he's like, Deadpool. And the guy's like, yeah. And then he's like, Captain Deadpool. But then they just ran with the Captain Deadpool part. Dude, that's what they did. Like, they already had a good idea. Like, somebody was like, dude, okay, the boss, there's going to be poison in the room, and she's going to be healed by it, and you're going to obviously be poisoned, but then there's going to be something in the level that takes it away. And some other guy was like, what if you have to stop the windmill from turning to get the poison to stop pouring? Another guy was like, yeah, by lighting it on fire. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. And he's like, fuck you, I'm coding it. I'm going to put that in there.
So much more Resident Evil than like a Souls game.
Yeah. Honestly, like I could see a situation where like maybe you cut something, like you cut this cable, because that's how you are, like the chandeliers, right? Like your first instinct is like, oh, can I walk up? Can I cut that? So it's something like that. Like you cut a cable and it falls into like a gear mechanism and it grinds to a halt or something to that effect, versus being like, nah, dude, we're going to light this thing it looks like metal, but we're going to light it on fire. Like, just fumble, man.
Yeah. And I don't like a lot of the weapons in Dark Souls 2. I feel like they don't, like the movesets feel bad.
Yeah. I was using, because my character is super weak, obviously, because I haven't been scaling any strength or dex, which you almost can't do because every weapon, the requirements are relatively high as far as...
you get a lot more levels in Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, although not really from just fighting mobs.
No, it's only from the bosses.
Yeah.
Who are all easy as fuck.
Yeah, so like when I killed the last giant, up to that point, I had maybe leveled up, I don't know, 6 times, 7 times. Killed the last giant, immediately leveled up like 12 times. I'm not even kidding. Yeah. Because you get that many souls from it, from boss fights. But yeah, I've been using like a dagger. That's like all my guys.
Like that's like knife or just a dagger.
Just a dagger, the most basic dagger you can get.
It's fucking badass,
and it's awful. And so I finally leveled up stuff enough till I could use a hatchet. And the hatchet moveset feels so bad because the dude, he's so slow when he swings it. And I don't even think it has the Dark Souls 1 thing where that's considered a heavy weapon to where when you miss an enemy, your guy like stumbles.
Yeah.
I think it's just that slow.
And that's actually kind of a cool system in Dark Souls 1.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. That's such a cool system. I think that's a
the
great
axes
system.
And like maces and clubs and stuff do lots of stagger damage.
Right. But yeah, if you miss, then you leave yourself open.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Cool concept.
And it's funny you told me you got invaded the other day. Like, I'm surprised people are still playing that shit.
I got invaded again by the same guy.
Really?
Yeah, in a different place. And I was actually at the Sinner's Rise, and I just jumped off the side because I was like, I don't want to play this game. I have had
my closest fucking like one-on-one duel ever in any Souls game in Dark Souls 2.
Really?
Yeah, I was dual wielding katanas just to be a fucking asshole. I think I got invaded at the Lost Bastille like right before you would go in the door to like where the room where all those guys are. And the guy comes out and I'm like standing there. I'm like ready to fucking jump off the edge too, because that's what I was thinking. And he drinks all of his Estus. And then he drops a human, like one of the human effigies on the ground. I go over, pick it up. And I drank all my Estus and we just fought it out. And literally it was both, we had like one hit left and we hit each other and both died.
Oh, nice. That's pretty sweet.
It was honest. It was really fun. It really was. It was probably the only time I got invaded and I wasn't annoyed about it.
Yeah, I'm usually always just annoyed by it. I don't even know why. Like, well, when this guy invaded me, he first of all, I wasn't even human when he invaded me, which is just annoying.
They can do that? I didn't know
dude.
that.
Remember in Dark Souls 2, it doesn't matter if you're human or not.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I did know that, but like my brain chose to block it out because it's stupid.
Yeah, because it's dumb. Because in Dark Souls 1, it made sense. That was the trade-off, right? You could become human and receive help, but also get invaded. So that was the trade-off. Well, in this game, it doesn't matter. You can summon people or be invaded, not human. So this dude shows up in No Man's Wharf, and I can see him coming from across the thing, and I was like, oh, yay, here we go. He has the fucking butterfly wings on.
Oh, so he's going to poison you?
Yes, and he has dual fucking tridents, one in each hand.
Interesting.
And I was like, okay, well, he clearly has to be way out leveling me because I can't have the stats for that. And then he starts casting spells at me too. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I got a couple solid hits in on him though.
Is that it's not usually fair. Like it's fun when it's fair. I feel like when it's like perfect, you both have the same level weapon and you're both about the same level. It's fun, but it's not fun when they come in and they use like a spell from the end game, or they like touch you with their hammer once and it kills you instantly.
Yeah, and it doesn't even make sense as to like how you're like, well, why is he dealing so much more damage to me? I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know. I like the idea though of the seed of the giant trees.
Yeah,
just throw it down, and then all of the NPC enemies attack them. I love that. That's sweet.
And I think those have a chance to drop after every time you get invaded.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah, that tree in fucking the Forest of the Fallen Giants.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Or the giant corpse, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Which giants are we talking about? The Yorm giants?
See, that's the thing I fucking don't like about Dark Souls 2 too. It's like giants were already a fucking thing. Yeah. Like Hawkeye Go was a fucking giant.
Yeah, they were giants.
Like, who the fuck are they now?
Yeah. Well, because supposedly Dark Souls 2 takes place like a millennia after Dark Souls 1, when everything has been forgotten.
I'm fine with that. That's fine. But I don't like that Dark Souls 3 feels like it's right after Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, that's where
what doesn't make any sense to me why they chose to do that.
Yeah, that's where the biggest fumble is, or like disconnect for me is, between the three is canonically Dark Souls 3 feels like Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, it does.
And then Dark Souls 2 feels like Dark Souls 3 in the sense that it's supposed to take place so far after that.
Yeah. Have you ever beaten Vendrick?
No. And see, I lost that save file where I was really far.
That's so lame.
Yeah, so now I got to try the whole thing over again. No, I was going around collecting the things to weaken him or whatever you do.
I'm an idiot and crunched those things for souls before I realized what they were for.
Oh, see, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, free souls.
Oh, those are the giant souls, right?
Yeah.
That's what they are or whatever. Yeah.
Soul of a giant. Each one you get like cuts his health in half. Or you deal like double damage. So I think there's 5 of them. So you end up dealing like 10 times damage.
Interesting. Yeah, I knew it was a thing.
You can fight him normal, but it takes fucking forever.
Oh, yeah, because the first time I came across him, I was like, oh, I'll fight this dude. And his health bar didn't even show up the first several times I hit him because I wasn't doing enough damage to like affect him. I
will say Dark Souls 2 probably has my favorite soundtrack. Like there are some songs
As
that
far
are
as
so good.
yeah, I was gonna say, I hope you're talking about songs and not like sound effects
No, the sound
because
effects are terrible in Dark Souls 2,
they are
but
so bad.
the score of music I think has some of the like the most iconic shit. Like the stuff when you first see Vendrick, freaking Majula is so good.
Yeah, I
Majula by
agree.
itself is like fucking worth the ticket of admission, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Oh man, did you already eat dinner? Is that why you sent me your picture of
Yeah.
dinner? Oh,
Yeah, well, I wanted to like plan it out because I was gonna cook for like about an hour,
oh,
so I like wanted to eat dinner before.
yeah, your dinner looked freaking good.
Yeah, that was some elk steak that Dad gave me, some
Oh,
cubed
damn.
elk steak, and I marinated it in like a ginger, not a ginger, excuse me, a Korean barbecue style. It's called like bulgogi, is what they call it.
Okay.
Oh, and then I cut it up into little strips and like fried them real quick, and then I put them in my cast iron in the oven. Oh, they were so good.
Yeah, it
And
looked
then
good.
I took the marinade and like made a sauce out of it, mixed it with like some miso broth, a little bit of soy sauce, and like put it on the stove to thicken up. Oh, it was
Nice.
so good.
Yeah, dude, that looked delicious.
Oh, I love making like Asian food. I don't know why.
Oh, same here. I've told Caitlin before. I said if you cooked me meat and rice every day, I would probably never get tired of it. Ever.
I do. I make rice and meat a lot. I feel like it's hard for me not to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like my
it's
favorite stuff.
delicious.
Well, I like ginger too, and like garlic, and like a lot of the flavors they use.
Yeah. Yeah, and before anybody gets offended, obviously I know other places around the world eat meat and rice too, but I just
Yeah,
feel like,
I didn't even think I didn't think people would be offended about that. Jeez.
dude, people get offended by everything. Apparently there's this thing, I don't know, Caitlin was telling me that somebody was trying to call out Drew Barrymore for appropriating how did she say it? Because obviously Drew Barrymore is like a wealthy celebrity, but she portrays herself as being like this middle class, working class person. So
Okay.
apparently somebody was offended by the fact that she's appropriating like middle class culture or something like that. And I was
Okay.
like, oh yeah, we're done. We're done for. That's it. Throw in the towel.
Yeah, I don't really care about that.
Things are just to the point where we just have to make up so many things to be upset about.
Yeah.
Life is clearly too easy for too many people as far as, since food, water, and shelter for the most, although things are probably about to change now that everything is so expensive.
It's true.
But when those things are so easily accessible for most people, people just got to make up shit to be, to make. I love Joe Rogan said that on one of his, I think it was when he's talking to Derek, and he says, he's like, now I'm not going to pretend like I have real problems in the world. Like, there are people, there's gunshots all night long. You're hoping that your kids survive through the night. You don't know where you're going to get food the next day. Those are real problems that real people have. He's like, people calling you out on Twitter is things that we make up as problems. And I fully agree.
We like to be upset.
Oh, yeah. Outrage culture.
Yeah, I mean, that is what it is.
Oh, man, I suppose I should probably make some dinner for myself. I didn't realize, too, we've been talking for like 2 hours.
Yeah, we had that little break in the middle.
Yeah, most of you probably didn't catch that. We had some technical difficulties, but I'll try to stitch this together so that doesn't show up. So
Yeah, Ryan's a god. It'll be fine.
oh my gosh, yeah, right. I'm sure some experts can hear that when I stitch it together.
Probably. Sure, it drives one person insane.
Your guys' audio quality is so bad, I can't even stand it.
What are you guys, fucking tin cans?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're just right across the room from each other. We just hold these nice and tight, and then I set my aux cable on the middle of the string, and somehow it picks up all the sound.
I like to imagine like you have the string, but then like it's braided with an aux cable through it.
Yeah, in the center, yeah.
Yeah, like that would be fucking cool if it worked.
And then we just plug that into the back of the computer, and somehow I record it onto my computer. Genius. hopefully, maybe one of our guests coming up soon could explain to us if we wanted better audio quality, what we could do.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so there's a little spoiler for any of you still listening to this long ass episode of what might be coming up soon.
We actually have a lot of interesting stuff coming up.
Yeah, I'm hoping even if the world burns down in 2023, maybe it'll be the year for our podcast at least. You
know? Dude, it's fucking time.
I feel like we've put in the time. We're putting in the work. Maybe it's our time, to shine.
Maybe.
But if not, it doesn't matter. We'll continue to record this shit anyways because it's fun. So
yeah, true. Gives me an excuse to talk to you.
Right? Yeah. What do you think? Should we wrap this one up? We've been all over the place like we usually get.
Yeah, it was super all over the place. Yeah, maybe we should. I do want to thank you all for listening. You guys are really appreciated here at Nice Little Pages Library.
Absolutely.
I think of you like my children.
Yeah. 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 Here's looking forward to hopefully a great year.
I literally all go said down like, this world is it's about to get shit's about to get real.
Yeah. It's all right, man. Everybody knows it, we all talk about it. We also don't want to leave everybody on a super depressing note. So
yeah, that's true.
We don't want you guys to think that everything is doom and gloom. You can always come here for hopefully a couple of couple chuckles. So
yeah, or a shaking of the head.
Yeah, or just like, Jesus Christ, why are these guys talking about this? They need to stay in their fucking lane. That's why I either try to start or end every sentence with, this is just my opinion, because I am fully aware of how much I don't know, because it's a lot of shit.
Oh, so. I don't know a lot of stuff. Yeah. I feel like the older I get, the more I realize too, the stuff I don't know.
Yeah. I don't even know how much I don't know because it's so fucking much. All right. And I don't want to act like I'm on my soapbox or high horse like I know this shit. I just think it's interesting talking points. So
yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is definitely a discussion, not like a gospel to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, for sure. And if we ever get to that point where you think we're preaching at you, please email us and be like, yeah. If we ever pass around the proverbial freaking donation tray,
yeah,
please feel free to fucking let us know, because it's the last thing I want to do is preach at somebody. Oh my God, fucking shoot myself. Oh yeah, and on that super high note, we I think we'll wrap this one up. So again, thank you guys all for listening. We really appreciate it, and we hope to catch you in the next one.